Okay, I've got my Volantex P51D Mustang out here. During this test flight, I'll tell you what I'm doing. Let's see if we can get it in the air. The last time I was out here, I think it was test flights 19 and 20. I did not have a very good roll rate to the left. And I stated that if I could, I would get in and adjust the aileron rigging to get it to roll better to the left. How about that? That is sweet. So now I have this plane rolling as well to the left as to the right. So my final adjustments are complete now. So when I get back to the HQ, I'll tell you exactly what I did to solve that issue and why I think it solved it. But now I have this plane handling the way I would like, with good rolls to the left as well as to the right. That's awesome. This is now an excellent handling Warbird that's even more maneuverable than it was. Man, those are good roll rates to the left and to the right now. Awesome. Boy, that sun is creeping in on me. Okay, let's see if we can bring it in. Coming in from the sun, that's not going to be good. Not my best landing, but it's on its feet. Alright, so now that I have this plane flying precisely how I want it to fly, I'll meet you back at the HQ.
Okay, I pulled the wing off so I could show you more clearly exactly what's going on with the rigging and what I did, what I modified to get it to turn as well to the left as to the right. I want you to watch the deflection on the aileron on the left and the right hand side. Okay, see how high the left hand side is, and then look at the low point of the right side aileron. Now the other side. You see how much higher the deflection is on the right hand side compared to how low it is on the left hand side, and vice versa. So this plane on the right hand side, where it was rolling so nicely, you know, it was rolling very quickly, I noticed that on the right hand side the aileron had asymmetrical movement. It moved much higher, it moved much further going up than it did going down. So I pulled the wing off to take a look at the rigging here, and you can also see where I've moved the control rods out to the outer holes on the servo control arm. They were located 2 holes further in, so this gave me more deflection on the ailerons to begin with. But then I noticed that this linkage for the right aileron was much further forward than on the left hand side. The left hand side was much further toward the nose of the aircraft, probably I'd say probably by somewhere between 5 to 10 millimeters further forward. And so that had the effect of giving you symmetrical movement on the aileron on the left hand side, but having this pushed further to the rear gives you asymmetrical movement on the right aileron. So what I did was I disconnected the linkage. I manually moved the left aileron all the way up, and I put my, I'll show you. See these little white plastic clips? This is where the control rod attaches to the aileron. So what I did was I manually held this up in place with my hand clamped on that piece of plastic and on the top side of the aileron so that it wouldn't move. And then I bent this shaft on the linkage here inside the wing further to the tail until I could get it lined up with the right side when the aileron was in the neutral position. So you're going to have to turn your plastic clevis here counterclockwise to move it further out to get it lined up again with this plastic clevis when your left aileron is in the neutral position. But what the effect that this has is giving me asymmetrical movement on the aileron on the left hand side just like on the right hand side. You can see that the servo is centered while the ailerons are in a neutral position, but because this position of the control linkage is further back, it will raise the left aileron much higher than it will push it down. So I don't know if it is the design of the wing on the P51 Mustang, or if it's the design of the wing plus the fact that it has a little bit of dihedral in it that requires you to have asymmetrical movement on the ailerons in order to get a good roll rate on this plane. But that certainly fixed my problem with a lethargic roll to the left but a fast roll to the right. So both of these ailerons now are asymmetrical. They move up much further than they move down. So if you're having a similar issue with your P51 Mustang, who knows if they all come set up that way. I know different people get planes that are set up differently than the exact same plane that I received. So, but if you are having a lethargic roll either to the right or to the left or both, this is one way to fix that so that you have a very good roll rate to the left, a very good roll rate to the right. Okay, now that we have discussed what I modified on the linkage for the ailerons to get a nice roll rate to the left and right, I also want to tell you that since I have reinforced this landing gear, I have had 2 failed hand launches with this plane until I got it figured out. Several bad landings, and this landing gear has held up just fine, no problems whatsoever. I have not had any more problems with the retention bolt for the main wing or the horizontal stabilizer backing out. If you don't know what that's in reference to, look at our most recent Needful Things. And also, because the terrain out there where I fly is so rough, it's very difficult to take off with this successfully from the ground. I would say about 30% of the time I've got to abandon the takeoff because I can't, it won't track. It's either hitting rocks or it's hitting sand, and full elevator won't even move it. So I've started launching it by hand. This is kind of an awkward plane to launch by hand because of the low wing and there's no place to grab underneath really to launch it. I have to hold it at the back part of the fuselage to launch it. And what I have found with the power system that I have on here and the thrust to weight ratio I have, which I believe is a 1.5 to 1, I have found that taking off at 75% throttle and giving it a good chuck with just a slight upward angle, it takes off just fine. So if you guys are kind of in the same boat, you don't have a nice place to take off from and you have to hand launch it, that is what I have found is most successful for this plane. to hand launch it because it is a bit awkward. So there you go. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the air.